Hello, we are live. Welcome back to my channel. I'll give this a second. I don't anticipate anyone really watching, but I thought we could go over the Goodreads finalists together since I did this for the last one. I worked overtime last night, so I'm a little bit tired, but I got my coffee, got a bagel, living my best life. And I was only spoiled for, well, I can see some things right now, but I was only truly spoiled for one thing, I think, that made it through. And if it made it through, I'm so happy. And I'm considering reading some amount of books from each category of finalists. So we shall see how that goes. Let's just get into it. I made myself tiny down in the corner. I don't know. I don't think I need to be that big. How about this? All right. And let's just see what the best books of 2023 are. Oh, and before I get started, hold on. Soapbox moment. I realize that these awards are like flawed. If the only way that you're finding books is from Goodreads, like good for you for reading, but like there's so much more out there. And Goodreads is picking things based off of sales. So these aren't necessarily the best books. They're just like the best selling books. So I recognize that they eliminated some categories with graphic novels and picture books and middle grade and all of that. And that's unfortunate. And I really do hope they consider just adding categories instead of taking them away. But it is what it is. Nothing is perfect. So let's just see what Goodreads says are the best books of 2023. All right, so fiction nominees. Let's see who made it through. I have not read any of these, but I'm not surprised that Yellowface made it through. That's good. And I have The Wishing Game on my shelf, and I do want to read that. Everything else, I think I have The Invisible Hour as well. So I might try to read some things in this category. We have Pineapple Street. Like, this all looks like books that what is this? The Collected Regrets of Clover? What's the point of giving someone a beautiful death if you can't give yourself a beautiful life? From the day she watched her kindergarten teacher drop dead during a dramatic telling of Peter Rabbit, Clover Brooks has felt a strong connection with dying than she has with living. After her beloved grandfather, who raised her, dies alone while she's traveling, Clover becomes a death doula in New York City, dedicating her life to ushering people peacefully through their end-of-life process. What? I'm going to add that to want to read. That sounds fascinating. Okay, so I don't know anything in that category, but I have quite a few that I could read. Historical fiction wise, another section where I know none of these books. I have none of these. I have no thoughts on historical fiction. Actually, that's a lie. I have Wayward by Amelia Hart. That was a book of the month book, I think. And that cover is absolutely gorgeous. All right. Let's get to a category I might actually know something. So, first row, I don't know. I haven't read. I think I've only read, yes, one book. So we have The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. I've heard of that, and I've heard a lot about her. So I'm intrigued to read some of her stories. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, I've heard is very good. This looks historical. Homecoming. Adelaide Hills, Christmas Eve, 1959. At the end of a scorching hot day, beside a creek on the grounds of the grand and mysterious mansion, a local delivery man makes a terrible discovery. A police investigation is called, and the small town of Tambilla becomes embroiled in one of the most shocking, perplexing murder cases in the history of South Australia. 60 years later, Jess is a journalist in search of a story. Having lived and worked in London for almost 20 years, she now finds herself laid off from her full-time job and struggling to make ends meet. Turner Family's Tragedy of Christmas Eve. Ooh, I might have to try that for some creepy Christmas vibes. But yeah, I finished the only one left the other night, finally, after starting it in October, and it was fantastic. So that's probably the only thing I can vote for in there. Let's go to romance. What about this category? Do I know anything? I read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and I did not like it, so I did not feel compelled to continue. I want to read The 7-Year Slip. That sounds pretty good. And I'm not surprised that Allie Hazelwood made it. Even though objectively her books, are they good? Not really. I did read Happy Place. I thought it was very good. Is it a romance? Questionable. And also, I'm not surprised that Final Offer made it by Lauren Asher. I haven't read the book, but I read from her F1 series, and I don't think her writing style is for me. It's just very wordy and drawn out, and I don't enjoy her writing style. So that's just my opinion, though. I mean, it's probably a great book. And I'm intrigued to read Lucy's Score. That's book 2. So I would have to read book 1. And then we've got Anna Huang with book 2 in her series. Okay, Romantasy. Maybe I know some books in here. Oh, yeah. This is what I was a little bit, whatever, spoiled for. Ashes in the Star, Cursed King. I'm going to go ahead and vote for that because I love that book. I feel like Fourth Wing will win. And then we've got Throne of the Fallen, Zodiac Academy. Which book is that? I thought it would just like show me. Okay. We've got a From Blood and Ash book. The Hanging City. I've never heard of that. I guess after I voted, it's not going to tell me what they're about. Another JLA book. I've heard just okay things about this. And the Hurricane Wars. I want to read every book in this category. But yeah, I hope Carissa wins because that was a fantastic book. Fantasy. What do we have in fantasy? Oh no. Okay. 2 of my favorite books of the year. Ooh. So, The Unmaking of June Farrow. I cannot scream about this book enough. And Adrienne Young's writing. I enjoyed this book so much. It was an interesting portrayal of like memory loss, I think. But then also the portal fantasy aspect, of course, is my favorite. I read The Adventures of Amina Al-Saraf. Didn't like it. It's just okay. But I did keep the beautiful fairy loot or Luma crate because, of course, I did. This I need to read like yesterday. B. Schwab. I need to give her another chance. Have I read any of her books? I don't think I have. And then we've got A Day of Fallen Night. I was supposed to read that this month, and I didn't. So who's surprised? And then we have Encyclopedia of Fairies, which was my first read of the year and my first 5-star. And I think I'm going to try to reread it next month when the sequel comes out. And then we've got Swordcatcher. I have no desire to read that unless I go and read everything from the category. Starling House I feel like that was super buzzworthy there for a while. Bookshops and Bone Dust I started, but I wasn't paying attention to the audiobook, so I'm saving that for the Aurelium readathon that starts, I think, in 2 weeks. And Hellbent I haven't read. I did read the first one. And I have it. So this might be the category where I have either read the most or I have the most and could potentially read. I don't know which I would pick, though. Between Emily Wilde and The Unmaking of June Farrow. I don't know. I feel like Emily Wilde was more popular. And like I said, I think I'm going to do a project where I reread that one. And when the sequel comes out, I'm going to reread Belladonna and read the sequel Foxglove. And then I want to read Divine Rivals and read the sequel when it comes out this month, because those were like my 3 top reads of this year. And I want to see if there's a comparison, like which one is better. Not that, I mean, they can all be really great books, but I'll have to think about this one. Okay. Let's check out some sci-fi. Oh, well, this is easy. I've only read one, but you know I'm going to vote for Starter Villain because I've been screaming about this book. But the only ones that I would read from this list, I have In the Lives of Puppets. I need to read it. I've been seeing buzz about the future, like everywhere. So I'm kind of intrigued. The future is a few billionaires leading the world to destruction while safeguarding their own survival with secret, lavish bunkers. That sounds a little too like true to life. The future is private weather, technological prophecy, and highly deniable weapons. The future is a handful of friends, the daughter of a cult leader, a non-binary hacker, an ousted Silicon Valley visionary, the concerned wife of a dangerous CEO, and an internet-famous survivalist hatching a daring plan. It could be the greatest heist ever or the cataclysmic end of civilization. The future is what you see if you don't look behind you. That's interesting. Want to read. The Light Pirate. Florida is slipping away. Oh no. As devastating weather patterns and rising sea levels gradually wreak havoc on the state's infrastructure, a powerful hurricane approaches the small town. It's a meditation on the changes we would rather not see, the future we would rather not greet, and a callback to the beauty and violence of an untamable wilderness. Lightbringer is a sequel to Red Rising. I still haven't read that. I've heard great things about John Mars. What if marriage was the law? Dare you disobey? Interesting. Chain Gang All Stars. Women Gladiators. That is not even what I got out of that cover. Fight for their freedom within a depraved private prison system not so far removed from America's own. Well, of course. The Ferryman. I think I have The Passage by him. Group of survivors on a hidden island utopia where the truth isn't what it seems. And then Martha Wells. I need to continue with the Murderbot series. Otherwise, like, I think if I continued reading Murderbot, this would be my favorite because those books are good. But I'm obsessed with Starter Villain. What can I say? There's talking cats. Okay, horror books. This year I discovered that horror is not for me. And I've read 2 of these. So I read The September House in September. It's not marked as read. Okay. I listened to that on audio. It's a little bizarre, but I enjoyed it. I found that I really enjoy haunted house stories, even if they are kind of run of the mill. I want to read this so bad. It's huge. Our Share of Night. I think it's vampires. Vampires of El Norte. I thought I got Rouge from Aardvark Box, but I never saw it on my shelves or saw it come in, so I don't think I actually did that. I think it was a fever dream. I did read How to Sell a Haunted House, and I had an enjoyable time with that. House with Good Bones. I still don't know if T. Kingfisher is for me, so I'm not sure. And I've heard okay things about this. And I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen King won. However, I have no desire to read that. Out of the 2 that I've read, I think the Grady Hendrix was better. All right. Young adult fantasy and sci-fi. Oh, no. Well, this is easy. So I need to read this. So Belladonna was one of my favorites of, if that was this year or last year, I'm not sure. We all know that my vote is going here, even though A Study in Drowning is a close second. I want to read Powerless. I've heard so many, I haven't really heard things about it, but I've seen it going around, and that cover is intriguing. Yeah. Another Cassandra Clare. And I haven't read this either. Obviously, Divine Rivals. Okay, young adult fiction. Oof. Many things that I own, none that I have read. I think if I read this, I would love it, but I'm scared to read a young adult Talia Hibbert. I don't know. It's could it? Obviously, I don't want to read young adult spice, but I read Talia Hibbert for her spice and her quirky characters, so it could work out. I have this to read. I feel like that might win. Honestly, I confuse these 2 all the time. These 2 series. The One of Us is Lying and the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. If I didn't know they were different things, I don't think my brain would separate them. So I have no thoughts on young adult. Debut novel. Let's see. Oh, look, I could vote for The September House here. Because I started this and I just keep not picking it up, so that's saying something. This is on my TBR. The rest is not. Okay. Nonfiction. I have not read any of this. But the last time I was here, I wanted to read this one. Butts. Huh. Okay. The Creative Act, A Way of Being. Trail of the Lost. Missing Hikers. That sounds interesting. Okay, memoirs. Oh yeah, I want to read The In-Between. And this cover looks beautiful. I read these 2. Oh, wait. So this Duggar memoir made it through, but the other one did not. Interesting. I mean, I rated the other one like 2 stars, so I'm not surprised. Huh. I didn't even know that Paris Hilton had a memoir, so that's interesting. Yeah, out of these two, I don't know. I don't know that I have read enough from this category to be like, I'm not passionate about either of these books. History and biography. Why are there so many like nonfiction categories? Also, wouldn't this be? Oh, well, I guess it's a biography. It's written about someone. I do want to read this. The Pathogens. That sounds interesting. Rise and Fall of the American Fortune. I have no interest. So anyway, there's that category. And humor. Tough titties. That cover or that like title just makes me laugh. I don't know anything about any of this. Strong female character. In the way of people's expectation of what autism should look like, and equally how autism gets in the way of people's expectations. Interesting. So I felt confident in voting in like 4 categories. We'll go back to debut. So I thought the September House was pretty decent, so I'll vote there. Wow. So anyway, that was just a quick run through of the Goodreads Choice Awards. I think I might try to read a couple other books on that are nominated. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some of those. Maybe see if I can find some used copies. But I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching my run through of the Goodreads Choice Awards. And I will just see you later on this week because Vlogmas starts on Friday. So bye for now.